Beneath a sun-scorched desert lies the ghost of a river, a hidden waterway that sustained a civilization. This is the legacy of the Qanat, just one of 30 ancient water management networks that modern science has profoundly misunderstood. By the end of this journey, you will see how our ancestors mastered their environment with a sophistication that rivals our own. We will explore subterranean aqueducts and massive reservoirs, revealing how entire societies flourished against impossible odds. How did a city in the driest desert on Earth never run out of water? And why did archaeologists overlook the true purpose of a jungle temple for centuries? What do you believe is the most important lesson we have forgotten from the ancient world? These underground rivers were born from a profound understanding of the Earth. Early engineers located water trapped deep within mountain foothills, then designed a gentle downward slope for a channel that would carry it for miles, sometimes over 50, to the plains below. This was not a frantic digging for immediate water. It was a patient, deliberate act of invitation. The vertical shafts that dotted the surface every 100 feet were not just for digging out silt and sand. They were breathing tubes for the tunnel and gathering points for the people who maintained this living system. A Qanat was a communal project, a shared responsibility that wove itself into the social fabric of the town. Modern hydrology initially saw them as primitive, but we now see their genius. They only tapped the shallowest aquifers, the ones naturally replenished by rainfall, creating a self-regulating system that could not be overdrawn. Unlike powerful modern pumps that can drain an aquifer in years, a Qanat simply could not operate beyond the sustainable yield of its source. It was a technology that listened to the environment. This prevented the land from becoming poisoned with salt, a common fate in many of our own irrigated fields. The Qanat was a lesson in patience, a dialogue with the water table that our extraction-based methods have forgotten. It stands as a powerful first clue in our global mystery, a testament to an ancient wisdom we are only now beginning to decipher. Far from the desert Qanats, another civilization faced an even more impossible water challenge. In the stark, rain-starved plains of Peru, the Nazca people looked upon a landscape that offered almost nothing. Yet they did not just survive, they built a culture famous for its massive desert drawings. But those lines are only part of the story, the part visible from the sky. The real secret to their existence lies beneath the sand, in a network of spiral stone tunnels known as the Puquios. While modern archaeologists were captivated by the giant geoglyphs, they long dismissed these strange structures as simple wells. This was a profound misunderstanding. The Puquios were in fact a masterwork of hydraulic engineering. Picture a series of coiled ramps, like a stone snail shell plunging deep into the earth. These spirals, called ojos or eyes, were not random. Their design funneled wind down into the tunnels, creating a natural pressure differential that actually pulled groundwater through underground canals. This was a passive pump, built entirely from stone and an understanding of airflow, requiring no moving parts. The water was then channeled for miles through stone-lined aqueducts, emerging at the surface to feed intricate fields. This system did more than just provide drinking water. It created entire microclimates, allowing the Nazca to cultivate crops in a desert where rain might not fall for years. But the Puquios were more than just brilliant engineering. They were the heartbeat of the community. Their construction and maintenance were a sacred duty, woven into the very identity and spiritual life of the people. This was a technology that was also a temple, a practical system that sustained the culture both physically and socially. To see them as mere wells is to miss the entire point. The Nazca did not just find water in a barren land, they invited it forth through ingenuity, transforming their world not with force but with cleverness. Their legacy is a powerful lesson in how to thrive within the limits of a harsh environment, a lesson carved not in the vast lines on the surface, but in the life-giving spirals beneath it. From these high deserts, our search for ancient water wisdom takes us to an entirely different world, the lush, green highlands of Southeast Asia. The spiritual connection to water found with the Nazca echoes across the Pacific in the emerald heart of Bali. Here, water management was not a separate science but a sacred art, woven into the very soul of the community through the Subak system. To the modern eye, it appears as a breathtaking landscape of cascading rice terraces, but this is a profound oversimplification. The Subak is a living democracy of water, governed by an ancient philosophy known as Tri-Hita Karana. This principle seeks harmony in three realms: the spiritual, the human, and the natural world. At the center of this entire network sits a water temple. From this temple, a system of canals, weirs, and tunnels radiates outward, but its flow is not dictated by a single engineer. Instead, a council of farmers gathers regularly. They make collective decisions on water allocation, not based solely on maximizing crop yields, but guided by spiritual calendars and a deep understanding of ecological balance. The schedule for planting and watering is synchronized across entire watersheds, a practice that naturally controls pests and preserves soil health. When Western agronomists first studied the Subak, they often dismissed the temple ceremonies and offerings as mere folklore. They saw the physical canals but completely missed the invisible governance structure that made it all work. By ignoring the spiritual framework, they failed to understand why this system had prevented water conflicts and ensured sustainability for centuries. The water was not just a resource, it was a divine gift, and its distribution was a sacred duty. This holistic view created a socio-hydrological system where culture, faith, and practicality were inseparable. The enduring success of the Subak stands as a powerful testament to a truth we are slowly relearning, that the most resilient systems are those that honor more than just material need. This brilliant fusion of spirit and science in Bali finds a surprising parallel deep in the jungles of the Americas. The Maya did not simply pray for rain, they built a hydrological empire. Deep within the rainforests of Central America, their cities thrived in a landscape with no major rivers, a fact that long baffled archaeologists who assumed they relied only on natural sinkholes called cenotes. This was a fundamental misreading of the evidence. The Maya were master hydraulic engineers who constructed vast, interconnected systems to conquer both flood and drought. At the great city of Tikal, they did not just find water, they manufactured it on a monumental scale. Enormous artificial reservoirs were carved into the earth and meticulously lined with clay to hold millions of gallons of captured rainwater. These were not stagnant ponds. A complex web of canals and channels directed water from paved plazas and rooftops into these central tanks, turning the entire city into a giant catchment system. But the true genius lay in the details. The water was channeled through settling tanks where sediment would sink to the bottom before the cleaner water flowed into the main reservoir. They even used sand filtration, a principle we still rely on today, to ensure water quality for a densely populated urban center. This was proactive, resilient engineering at its finest. Modern science initially underestimated the sheer scale of their landscape modification, failing to see the forest for the reservoirs. The Maya were not passive victims of their environment. They were active shapers of it, creating a buffer against the unpredictable tropical climate. Their ability to store surplus water for times of scarcity allowed their society to flourish for centuries. This revelation of Maya hydraulics offers a crucial lesson for our own modern cities facing similar cycles of water stress and surplus. It demonstrates that true resilience is not about finding more water, but about managing it with foresight. From these engineered rainforest reservoirs, we journey to a place where another civilization performed an even greater miracle, turning a desert into a garden. While the Maya mastered the rainforest, another civilization was performing a miracle in one of the world's most extreme deserts. In the scorching Tipon basin of China, where summer temperatures can feel like an oven, an intricate web of life exists against all odds. This is the realm of the Karez, a network so advanced it is often mistaken for its Persian cousin, the Qanat, but it possesses a unique and brilliant character of its own. Imagine a hidden labyrinth with tunnels stretching over 30 kilometers, tapping into the distant snowmelt of the Tian Shan Mountains. This was not a single canal but an entire underground gallery, a subterranean river engineered by human hands. Thousands of vertical access shafts dot the surface, appearing like a line of ancient craters across the barren landscape. These wells served a dual purpose. They allowed for the removal of sand and silt to keep the tunnels clear, but they also acted as natural ventilation shafts. During the blistering summers, these openings created a cool, refreshing microclimate below, becoming gathering places for communities to escape the oppressive heat. This was infrastructure that served both the body and the social spirit, a place where the practical need for water fostered community resilience. Early Western surveys, focused on more visible monuments, largely dismissed the Karez as simple irrigation ditches. They completely overlooked the sophisticated engineering that prevented tunnel collapse in the loose gravel soil, and the brilliant design that minimized precious water lost to evaporation in the dry desert air. Building a Karez was a generational endeavor, a communal achievement that required deep, localized knowledge of geology and hydrology passed down through families. It embodied an ecological wisdom that understood how to work with the hidden rhythms of the earth, not against them. The Karez did not conquer the desert, it negotiated with it, creating a sustainable oasis that supported life for centuries. This stands as a powerful testament to human ingenuity in harnessing hidden resources, offering profound insights for our own challenges with desert living. From the engineered oases of China's deserts, our journey takes a dramatic turn to the island civilizations of the vast Pacific Ocean. On a remote Pacific island, a city of stone rises directly from a mangrove swamp. Madol, a labyrinth of over 100 artificial islets, was long classified by outsiders as a sacred ceremonial ground, its true purpose obscured by its own monumental beauty. The initial focus was on its colossal basalt pillars and mysterious tombs, while the intricate web of waterways coursing between the structures was dismissed as mere decorative moats. This was a catastrophic misunderstanding. The canals of Madol were the city's lifeblood and its masterwork. These were not stagnant channels but a dynamic, engineered system that managed the complex hydrology of an entire artificial landscape. The builders, working without metal tools, orchestrated tidal flows to constantly flush the canals, carrying away waste and preventing stagnation in the tropical heat. They constructed aqueducts to channel precious freshwater from the main island, creating reservoirs that sustained a dense population. The system was so advanced it may have even supported early forms of aquaculture within its controlled waterways. This was a society that did not just build on the water, it built with it, manipulating the entire aquatic environment to serve human needs. Modern archaeology vastly underestimated the hydrological genius required to prevent saltwater from poisoning their freshwater supplies on such a small, low-lying island. Every high tide and every rain shower was a variable in a complex equation they had learned to solve. Madol stands as a monumental challenge to our assumptions, revealing an ancient society that had mastered the principles of integrated coastal management long before the term even existed. It forces us to ask how many other island civilizations possessed a similar deep, symbiotic relationship with the sea. From this aquatic city in the Pacific, our search for ancient water wisdom climbs to the breathtaking heights of the Andes Mountains. High in the Andes, the stone channels of Tipon whisper a secret that modern archaeology almost missed. For years, this terraced complex was labeled a royal garden, a beautiful but ultimately simple retreat for Inca nobility. But the water flowing here tells a different story, one of rigorous science and profound understanding. Each drop is a lesson in physics. The channels are not merely conduits, they are precisely carved laboratories. As water cascades down a series of vertical drops, its velocity is carefully modulated. It swirls into basins that introduce air, oxygenating the flow before it continues its journey. This is not random beauty, it is a masterclass in controlling energy and pressure. Every turn, every fountain, every step in the terrace is a deliberate experiment in hydraulic principles. The Inca engineers were not just moving water, they were studying it. They were observing how it behaved under different conditions, learning to predict its flow, and applying that knowledge to build their empire's vast infrastructure. The agricultural output and the aesthetic harmony were happy results of a much deeper purpose. This was a center for empirical learning, a place where theory met practice in stone and stream. To see Tipon only as a garden is to overlook its true genius. It reveals a culture that valued precision engineering and hands-on experimentation, principles that form the very bedrock of our own modern water science. From this open-air laboratory in the mountains, we find another civilization that turned the very air into a resource, learning to harvest water from an invisible sea. The volcanic slopes of the Canary Islands conceal a secret not found in the ground but captured from the sky. Here, ancient engineers carved long, horizontal tunnels directly into the mountainsides, creating what are known as the mother water galleries. Modern hydrologists initially catalogued these structures as simple aqueducts, a fundamental misjudgment of their true purpose. These galerias were not just channeling existing groundwater, they were actively manufacturing it. Their design targeted the dense, moisture-laden clouds pushed by the trade winds. As this fog was funneled into the cool, dark tunnels, the water vapor would condense on the volcanic rock walls, beading up and trickling down into a steady, collectible stream. The tunnels acted like massive, subterranean sponges, wringing liquid water directly from the air itself. This was a brilliant, preemptive strike against water scarcity in a challenging volcanic environment, a technique that predates our modern fog-catching nets by centuries. Early scientific surveys focused on traditional aquifers completely overlooked this aerial harvesting innovation. They saw the water flowing out, but failed to comprehend the invisible source from which it came. The mother water galleries stand as a powerful example of looking beyond the obvious, of understanding that water can be found in the most unexpected places, even suspended in the air we breathe. This ancient approach to sourcing a non-traditional supply is incredibly relevant today as we search for new answers to global water stress. From these ingenious fog harvesting tunnels, our journey takes us to a civilization that faced the opposite challenge, not a lack of water, but an overwhelming, mighty surplus. In the lush river basins of ancient Sri Lanka, a different kind of water symphony was playing out, one that turned the violent rhythm of monsoon and drought into a gentle, year-round melody. This was the Elangawa, or Reservoir Cascade system, a network so sophisticated that modern engineers are only now grasping its full genius. Picture not a single tank, but an entire chain of them, large and small, strung along a river valley like a series of interconnected lakes. Each reservoir was deliberately designed to serve a specific purpose. The largest ones at the head of the system would capture the initial torrential monsoon surge, taming potential floods. Then, through a carefully calculated network of canals and spillways, the water would be released slowly downstream to smaller and smaller reservoirs. This was not just about storing water for irrigation. It was a complete, self-regulating management of an entire river basin. The system was designed to recharge the groundwater, creating a perpetual buffer against dry seasons, and its gentle release of water prevented the devastating soil erosion that plagues many modern agricultural regions. Early colonial and contemporary engineers, however, saw only the individual tanks. They catalogued them as isolated structures, completely missing the holistic, basin-level planning. They failed to see the ecological and social masterpiece of the tank village concept, where each reservoir was the heart of a community, supporting rice cultivation, forestry, and daily life in a perfectly balanced cycle. This ancient network was not fighting against nature's cycles. It was collaborating with them, creating a sustainable agricultural landscape that endured for over 2,000 years. It offers a powerful blueprint for our own modern attempts at integrated water management, a reminder that the most effective solutions work with the entire watershed, not just one part of it. This concept of managing an entire hydrological system from the surface finds a startling parallel in a place where water was managed from the shadows, deep beneath the streets of a bustling metropolis. The grandeur of a desert Qanat or a jungle reservoir finds its ultimate urban expression in the heart of a bustling empire. Constantinople did not merely have an aqueduct, it possessed a hidden circulatory system that breathed life into a city of 500,000 souls. While the aqueduct of Valens stretched across the horizon as a monumental symbol of Roman engineering, the true genius of the Byzantine water network lay deep beneath the streets in a silent, subterranean world. Here, vast cisterns like the Basilica cistern were not just storage tanks, they were underground cathedrals built for water. Hundreds of columns rose from the still, dark waters, supporting a vaulted ceiling that echoed with the drip and flow of a managed bounty. This water, journeying from forests over 100 miles away, was then channeled through a complex grid of lead and ceramic pipes. This network did more than just deliver water. It managed pressure and quality, feeding public baths, ornate fountains, and even private homes with a reliability that would be impressive even in a modern city. Early archaeological fascination with the visible monuments, the great walls and palaces, led to a profound underestimation of this municipal marvel. The administrative structures, the guilds of maintenance workers, and the legal codes governing water access were all part of an integrated urban utility that sustained the empire's capital for centuries. It was a feat of civic engineering that provided a level of service many ancient cities could not dream of, demonstrating that urban density and public health could be masterfully supported with pre-industrial technology. This mastery over urban water on an imperial scale stands in stark contrast to the next form of wisdom we will explore, a much quieter, more intimate dialogue with the desert. Petra's iconic tombs were merely the public face of a civilization whose true genius flowed unseen. While visitors marvel at the rock-cut facades, they often miss the intricate network of dams, channels, and cisterns that made life possible in this stark desert. Modern surveys initially classified these structures as basic flood control, a catastrophic underestimation of their purpose. The Nabateans were not just defending against water, they were masterfully capturing it. They treated their entire territory as a vast catchment surface. Picture diversion walls snaking across barren slopes, designed to intercept the sudden, violent flash floods that would otherwise vanish into the sand. This water was then funneled through precisely sloped channels into a hidden world of underground cisterns, some large enough to hold the water for an entire season, all protected from the relentless desert sun. They even engineered sophisticated ceramic pipelines that could withstand immense pressure, carrying water for miles to their cities and caravan stations. This was a comprehensive strategy for surviving in an environment where rain was a rare and fleeting event. Contemporary science failed to grasp the sophisticated hydrological modeling behind their placement. Each dam and cistern was strategically located based on a deep understanding of watershed dynamics, sedimentation patterns, and the precise topography of their wadis. They knew exactly where the water would flow with the most force and where it could be most efficiently collected. This network was a masterclass in desert hydrology, a testament to a culture that did not just endure its harsh surroundings, but learned to thrive within them by maximizing every single drop. Their legacy is a powerful lesson in intelligent design and storage, proving that abundance in the desert is not about having more water, but about wasting less. As one civilization mastered the art of capturing desert rains, another would perform a different kind of miracle, turning a vast inland sea into the heart of its empire. Those monumental desert canals were not the work of isolated villages, but the signature of a hydraulic civilization. In the scorching river valleys of what is now Arizona, the Hohokam people engineered a network of waterways so vast it rivals some modern systems. Early archaeologists walking these dry lands saw only shallow trenches, dismissing them as simple farming ditches for a small, scattered population. This was a profound error in scale and understanding. The Hohokam had built over 500 miles of primary canals, with some channels stretching 30 feet across, capable of carrying enough water to support a population of tens of thousands. This was not small-scale irrigation, it was landscape-scale transformation. They diverted the volatile waters of the Salt and Gila rivers using sophisticated headgates and weirs, structures that controlled the flow and directed water into a spiderweb of lateral channels feeding individual fields. Maintaining such a system required more than just digging. It demanded constant, coordinated community effort and a form of water law to manage allocation and resolve disputes. This was a society organized around the collective management of its most precious resource. Modern reassessments using aerial photography and soil analysis have revealed the true extent of their hydrological genius. They possessed the engineering knowledge to handle wildly variable river flows, preventing their canals from silting up or being washed away by flash floods. The Hohokam system completely shatters the narrative of simple prehistoric farmers, revealing instead a complex society with the advanced organizational skills to turn a desert river valley into a sustained agricultural heartland. This legacy of large-scale water management in the American Southwest finds a startling parallel in the very cradle of civilization, where another society wrote its laws not just on stone but in the flow of its rivers. While the Hohokam were mastering desert rivers, a king in Mesopotamia was carving his ambition into the very bedrock. The stone aqueduct at Jerwan, commissioned by the Assyrian king Sennacherib near Nineveh, stands as a lonely, weathered ruin, often overshadowed by the grand arches of later Roman aqueducts. This was no mere canal, it was a complete hydraulic system, a symphony of engineering featuring a massive weir, a long canal, and the oldest known masonry aqueduct in the world. Imagine a structure 30 feet high, built from precisely cut stone blocks, carrying a steady stream of water across a wide valley. Its construction demanded an almost unbelievable precision, a gradient so consistent and gentle that the water would flow for dozens of miles without stopping or eroding its channel. The engineers even demonstrated a grasp of inverted siphons, using the water's own pressure to push it across low points in the terrain. This was not just a royal vanity project to water a garden, it was a bold declaration of imperial power. It proclaimed that the king could command not only armies but rivers themselves, bringing life-giving water to his capital and its surrounding farmlands to fuel urban growth. Early archaeological interpretations were distracted by its association with a powerful ruler, focusing on its potential military use or its symbolic value as a monument. They largely dismissed its profound functional innovation, failing to see how this single structure represented a quantum leap in the history of long-distance water transport. The Jerwan Aqueduct marks a critical turning point, a moment when water engineering shifted from local necessity to an instrument of empire, a legacy of pressurized pipes and precise gradients that would flow directly into the hands of later civilizations. This imperial drive to command water on a grand scale finds its ultimate expression in a place where an entire river was persuaded to change its course. The Great Dam of Marib was far more than a single wall holding back water. It was the heart of a sprawling hydrological empire. For over 1,000 years, this system transformed the arid plains of southern Arabia into a legendary oasis, the very foundation of the wealthy Sabaean kingdom. The primary dam itself was a marvel, capturing the violent, seasonal floods that surged down the wadis, but its true genius was revealed in the labyrinth that lay beyond. An intricate network of secondary dams, sluice gates, and distribution canals acted like arteries, carrying life-giving water to every corner of a vast agricultural plain. This was not a simple irrigation ditch, it was a managed ecosystem. The engineers demonstrated a profound understanding of silt, designing their channels to control its flow and use it to naturally fertilize the fields, preventing the canals from clogging while enriching the soil. Water allocation was a precise science governed by the seasons and the needs of a complex society. This immense infrastructure was the engine that powered a civilization, enabling it to become a legendary center of the frankincense trade and a beacon of culture. For too long, modern scholarship was captivated by the dam's dramatic collapse, framing its story as one of ultimate failure. This narrow focus completely missed the monumental achievement of its centuries of flawless operation. Maintaining such a system required more than engineering. It demanded a highly organized society with shared laws, skilled administrators, and a collective commitment to upkeep. The story of Marib is not a cautionary tale about a single collapse, but a powerful lesson in long-term resilience. It shows us how large-scale hydraulic infrastructure, when supported by strong social organization, can create stability and prosperity that endures for generations. This mastery over a managed water landscape finds a stunning contrast in a civilization that learned to cultivate the wilderness itself, using the forest as its reservoir. A living bridge does not simply cross a river, it is grown by it. In the cloud-drenched hills of Meghalaya, the true genius of these organic structures was completely missed by modern engineers who saw them as folk art. They are, in fact, the heart of an ancient, living water management system. For generations, the communities here have patiently guided the strong, pliable roots of the Ficus elastica tree across raging hill streams. But these roots do more than form footbridges. They are woven into intricate staircases descending steep slopes and matted into grids that armor the riverbanks themselves. This is a form of bioengineering so advanced it makes concrete seem clumsy. During the violent monsoon floods, a concrete wall creates pressure and can shatter. A living root bridge, however, flexes and strengthens with the torrent. Its roots grip the soil, preventing catastrophic landslides, while its entire structure helps to dissipate the water's energy, guiding the flow in a way that preserves the precious topsoil. The initial scientific appraisal dismissed this as a primitive, if charming, tradition. It failed to recognize the profound ecological foresight at play. Cultivating a single bridge is an act of intergenerational planning, a project begun by a grandparent for their grandchildren to use. This system requires a deep, intimate knowledge of tree physiology, hydrology, and soil mechanics, all passed down through oral tradition. It is a technology that is not imposed upon the forest, but which emerges from it, growing more resilient with each passing year. These living networks stand as a powerful rebuke to our own brittle infrastructure, showcasing a sustainable, adaptive approach that modern ecology is now desperately trying to emulate. This philosophy of working with biological systems finds its ultimate expression in a return to monumental stone, where another civilization achieved a perfect, silent equilibrium with its water supply. The stone temples of Tiwanaku were only the beginning of their story. While archaeologists marveled at the monolithic gate of the sun, they were standing atop the civilization's true masterpiece, a sprawling agricultural engine hidden in plain sight. Across the vast, windswept plains surrounding Lake Titicaca, the Tiwanaku engineered a landscape of water and earth known as the Suka Colossus. Imagine a seemingly endless grid of wide, raised planting beds, each one neatly separated by canals brimming with water. To an outsider, it might have looked like a messy wetland, but this was a carefully calibrated machine for life. The water in those canals was the system's beating heart. During the frigid Altiplano nights, the water absorbed the sun's warmth, releasing it slowly to protect the crops from killing frosts. In the daytime, the constant evaporation from the canals created a humid microclimate that shielded delicate plants from the harsh, desiccating winds. But the genius did not stop at temperature control. Aquatic plants thriving in the canals were regularly harvested and piled onto the raised beds as rich, green fertilizer, continuously replenishing the soil in a perfect nutrient cycle. This was a closed-loop system that required no external inputs, a self-sustaining agricultural wonder operating at an altitude that challenges modern farming. When Western agronomists first encountered these fields, they dismissed them as primitive and waterlogged. They judged the system by the standards of temperate, industrial agriculture, completely missing the point. The Suka Colossus were not an inefficient attempt at European-style farming. They were a brilliant, bespoke solution to a specific and extreme environment. This network reveals a philosophy of working in deep partnership with local ecology, not imposing an alien model upon it. The Tiwanaku did not fight their harsh climate. They learned its rhythms and built a resilient system that turned marginal land into a breadbasket. This ancient approach offers a powerful blueprint for sustainable agriculture in the challenging landscapes of our own future. From this high-altitude agro-hydrological marvel, our exploration descends into the heart of an empire where water did not just feed fields, but powered an entire industrial revolution. The roar of 16 massive water wheels would have filled this French hillside, a sound of pure industrial power echoing from the Roman era. Barbagal was far more than a simple grain mill. It was an ancient factory, a hydrological machine of breathtaking scale. 2 parallel rows of 8 wheels each cascaded down the slope, each one turned by water channeled from a main aqueduct. This was not a standalone structure, but the beating heart of a vast water management network. The aqueduct itself was just the beginning. Its water was first directed into storage basins that acted as giant settling tanks, allowing silt to drop away before the cleaner water was released into the mill races. This was crucial, for the delicate wooden gears and machinery of the wheels required water free of abrasive particles. The flow was then meticulously divided and channeled down the twin tracks of wheels, with each mill race precisely calculated to deliver the consistent water pressure and volume needed to turn 16 sets of heavy millstones simultaneously. This entire system was designed to produce flour on an almost unimaginable scale, possibly enough to feed tens of thousands of people in the nearby city of Arelate. For a long time, archaeologists were captivated by the mechanical genius of the wheels themselves, studying their reconstruction and gear ratios. In doing so, they profoundly underestimated the sophisticated hydrology that made it all possible. They failed to see Barbagal as a complete, integrated industrial plant, one that required a managed and reliable water supply from source to final output. The consistent flow was not a happy accident, it was engineered. This complex represents the absolute peak of ancient industrial hydraulics, a direct precursor to the water-powered factories of the medieval period and beyond. It forces us to reconsider the industrial capacity of the ancient world, revealing a society that could harness natural forces for mass production. From this symphony of water and machinery, our search for meaning turns to a network where water was not a source of power, but a pathway to the divine. The silent Moai gaze inland, their backs to a sea of unanswered questions. The long, cleared paths leading from the quarry are traditionally seen as simple roads for moving these colossal statues. But what if their true purpose ran much deeper, flowing with the very essence of life itself? A compelling theory suggests these iconic roads were not just transport routes, they were a sophisticated island-wide system for harvesting rainwater. Picture the ceremonial pathways, carefully lined with stone and subtly graded, not merely to guide a statue's journey, but to capture every precious drop of rainfall. This water would have been channeled away from the compacted road surface into adjacent fertile gardens and hidden subsurface reservoirs. This was infrastructure with a dual soul, serving both the spiritual need to honor ancestors and the absolute physical need for survival. For a culture that experienced periods of intense environmental pressure, such a system would have been a masterstroke of integrated design. Conventional archaeology, fixated on the statue's transport, long dismissed this hydrological function as secondary or non-existent. Yet evidence is emerging from the soil itself. Studies of the road substrates and the surrounding landscapes reveal patterns of water-worn stone and sediment deposits that align with this theory. The roads show signs of being engineered to control flow, not just support weight. This interpretation forces a profound shift in perspective. It asks us to see these ancient works not as having a single, obvious purpose, but as multi-functional creations where the practical and the sacred were seamlessly woven together. The true monument was not just the Moai, but the entire, intelligently managed landscape that sustained the people who carved them. This holistic vision of a land engineered for both ceremony and survival finds a powerful echo in the heart of another continent, where an entire civilization was built around the rhythm of a great river. Great Zimbabwe's stone towers speak of power, but its true sophistication was channeled into the earth. While the monumental architecture captivated early researchers, they almost completely missed the city's life support system, a sprawling network of water harvesting features known as Docker pits. Imagine a city meticulously planned to catch every drop. Across the hilltop and its surroundings, the Shona engineers designed a landscape of shallow, plaster-lined depressions. These were not random holes, they were strategically placed to intercept rainwater runoff from granite slopes and paved surfaces, channeling it through stone-lined conduits into larger, sealed reservoirs. This was a complete, integrated utility for a major urban center. The system provided clean water for drinking and daily use, sustained herds of cattle, and supported the cultivation of crops in a region with a long, challenging dry season. The initial archaeological interpretations, heavily influenced by colonial perspectives, could not reconcile the grandeur of the stone ruins with the idea of complex local engineering. They attributed the city's wealth solely to distant trade, dismissing the visible waterworks as primitive cattle ponds or natural features. This was a profound failure to see the evidence on the ground. The layout reveals a deep, localized knowledge of hydrology and soil science. The builders understood which slopes would yield the most runoff, how to line reservoirs to prevent seepage, and how to distribute water efficiently across a community of thousands. Great Zimbabwe's legacy is not just in its walls, but in its wells, a testament to African innovation that created resilience in the face of a semi-arid climate. This mastery of water storage in southern Africa finds a fascinating parallel on the sun-drenched islands of the Mediterranean. The vibrant frescoes of Knossos depict a world of grace and movement, yet the palace's true genius ran silently beneath the dancers' feet. Modern admiration for Minoan art long overshadowed an engineering marvel that made such sophisticated urban life possible. This was not a society with mere pottery and paintings. It was one with a mastery of public health that would not be seen again in Europe for over 1,000 years. Deep within the labyrinthine structure, terracotta pipes, meticulously designed with interlocking segments, channeled fresh water from mountain springs miles away. This water did not just fill ceremonial basins, it fed advanced sanitation systems that included flush toilets and an intricate network of storm drains and sewers. The entire palace was a hydrological machine, a complete separation of clean water from waste that protected the community from waterborne illness. Early excavators, captivated by the art and mythology of the bull leapers, initially dismissed these complex conduits as primitive drains, missing their profound significance. They failed to see that the Minoans had achieved an integrated municipal system, one that managed the entire water cycle within an urban environment. This was not just basic plumbing, it was a foundational principle of civic well-being, a clear understanding that public health was intrinsically linked to clean water and effective waste removal. The revelation at Knossos shatters the timeline of urban development, proving that our modern concepts of sanitation have very ancient roots indeed. This sophisticated approach to managing water within a city finds a stunning parallel in a place where water was managed not for a single palace but for an entire desert kingdom. The stone towers of Angkor Wat were merely the ceremonial heart of a city that sprawled across an area the size of modern Los Angeles. This was the Khmer Hydraulic City, a vast low-density metropolis engineered not just with temples but with water. Its lifeblood was an enormous network of canals, massive reservoirs called barrays, and intricate embankments that transformed the volatile monsoon cycle into a source of sustained life. Imagine monsoon rains filling reservoirs so large they were mistaken for inland seas, their water then channeled through a spiderweb of canals to feed vast rice paddies that supported a population of perhaps 750,000 people. This system did more than irrigate, it mitigated flooding and provided a transportation grid that connected the entire urban sprawl. The entire layout of Greater Angkor, from its grand avenues to its neighborhood temples, was fundamentally dictated by water management on a grand scale. Early Western interpretations, mesmerized by the temple architecture, saw the giant barrays as primarily symbolic, reflecting the Hindu cosmos. They completely missed their critical, practical role in food production and urban resilience. These reservoirs were the strategic grain reserves and the flood control buffers of their era, a testament to an engineering ambition that rivals our own modern cities. Angkor's network stands as one of the most extensive pre-industrial water management systems ever built, a breathtaking achievement of human organization. Its gradual transformation reminds us that even the grandest systems must adapt to a changing world. This concept of a city built around stored water finds its opposite in a network that had no need for reservoirs because it turned the entire mountain into a sponge. A pristine wilderness untouched by human hands, this was the scientific story of the Amazon for generations. That narrative is now crumbling, replaced by a far more fascinating truth. Deep within the rainforest soil lies a secret ingredient, a rich black earth known as terra preta. This is not a natural phenomenon. It is the legacy of ancient, deliberate engineering. For centuries, researchers walked over this evidence, their vision clouded by the myth of a virgin forest. They saw the seasonal floods and poor soils as insurmountable barriers to large-scale civilization. They were wrong. Pre-Columbian societies did not just live in the Amazon, they actively built it. They created this dark earth by slowly enriching the soil with a mixture of charcoal, food scraps, and pottery shards, a process that created incredibly fertile ground capable of sustaining intensive agriculture. This was more than just farming, it was a complete landscape transformation. Communities constructed vast complexes of raised fields, lifting their crops above the floodwaters. They dug intricate canals and ponds that served a brilliant dual purpose. These waterways managed the seasonal ebb and flow of water, but they also functioned as massive aquaponic systems, cultivating fish that provided protein while their nutrient-rich waste fertilized the surrounding fields. This was a closed-loop, self-sustaining ecosystem engineered by human hands. The entire system was a form of profound bioengineering, a symbiotic relationship with the forest that enhanced its productivity without destroying it. The traditional scientific view had been looking for pyramids and palaces, and in doing so, it missed the true monuments, the very soil, and the shaped hydrology that supported populations far larger than anyone had believed possible. This discovery forces a complete reevaluation of the Amazon's human history. It reveals societies that possessed a deep ecological wisdom, creating sustainable agricultural landscapes in one of the most challenging environments on Earth. Their legacy, buried in the dark earth, offers a powerful lesson for our own future in the tropics, a blueprint for how to live within an ecosystem without consuming it. From this engineered lowland paradise, our journey of discovery climbs once more to the high Andes, where a different kind of water wisdom was etched into the mountain slopes. Deep within the stone heart of the Andes, the galleries of Chavin de Huanta were not silent passageways. For decades, these underground labyrinths were categorized as purely ceremonial, their complex layout seen as a backdrop for rituals. This interpretation missed the vital pulse of the entire complex, the controlled flow of water. The architecture was an instrument, and water was its voice. Engineers channeled river water through precisely carved canals that ran beneath the temple floors and walls. During the rainy season, this system would transform. Water rushing through these hidden conduits would create a powerful roaring sound that seemed to emanate directly from the heart of the temple, from the great Lanzon monolith itself. This was not an accidental byproduct, it was deliberate sensory manipulation, an awe-inspiring fusion of hydraulic engineering and spiritual theater. The system likely served a dual purpose, managing subsurface drainage to prevent flooding while creating an unforgettable auditory experience for those inside. Modern archaeology, initially captivated by the intricate stone carvings, overlooked this functional genius. It failed to see how the practical need to control water was seamlessly woven into the very fabric of religious expression. Chavin stands as a profound lesson, challenging our modern separation of science and belief. Here, technology was not just a tool for survival, it was a medium for the sacred, a way to make the power of nature tangible within the temple walls. Our search for these misunderstood networks now leads to a final, stunning achievement, a system that turned one of the world's most brutal deserts into a garden for 1,000 years. The sands of the Sahara conceal a kingdom born from water that was never meant to be seen. In the blistering heart of the Libyan desert, the Garamantes engineered a subterranean miracle, a sprawling web of tunnels known as fagaras. These channels, stretching for hundreds of kilometers, reached deep into the earth to tap a hidden ocean of fossil water, reserves laid down in a wetter age and untouched by contemporary rain. This was not a simple survival tactic, it was the foundation of an entire civilization. Their Fagara network transformed barren basins into lush, productive oases, supporting agriculture, bustling towns, and a kingdom that thrived as a hub for trans-Saharan trade. The thousands of vertical access shafts that pockmark the desert surface did more than allow maintenance. They became critical landmarks, guiding caravans across the endless dunes to the life-giving water below. For generations, early modern scholars looked at this incredible achievement and saw only the hand of Rome. They assumed such sophistication must have been imported, a colonial gift to a local people. This misattribution was a profound injustice, delaying for centuries the recognition of the Garamantes as independent master engineers of their own destiny. Their story is one of breathtaking adaptation, a testament to human ingenuity in exploiting a hidden, non-renewable resource to carve a civilization out of nothing. It forces us to reconsider who we credit with innovation, and reminds us that some of history's greatest triumphs occurred far from the spotlight of famed empires. From this desert kingdom sustained by ancient water, our journey takes us to the lush, river-fed plains of the Indian subcontinent. An inverted palace plunges into the desert earth, its ornate pillars and galleries descending into a cool, shadowy silence. This was not merely a well, it was a vav, a stepwell of Gujarat and Rajasthan, and to label it as simple water storage is to miss its soul entirely. These were multi-story subterranean communities carved in stone, masterpieces designed to interface intimately with a seasonally fluctuating water table. As the monsoon rains filled the aquifer, the water would rise and the steps would slowly submerge. During the long, dry months, the water would recede and the steps would lead you further down, always ensuring access to the life-giving source. But this architectural dance with groundwater was only one layer of their function. The entire structure was a natural cooling system. The deep, shaded interior and the large surface area of the water created a reservoir of cool air that would sink, while the heat escaped from the top, creating a continuous, gentle circulation that offered a refuge from the blistering surface world. Western engineers who first documented them saw only the water-drawing mechanism, completely overlooking their role as subterranean public squares. They were places where travelers rested, where merchants met, where festivals were held, and where generations of women gathered, sharing stories as they collected water. The carvings of deities and mythological scenes that adorned every surface were not mere decoration. They transformed the daily chore of fetching water into a spiritual pilgrimage, a descent into a sacred realm. The stepwell was a complete socio-hydrological ecosystem, a profound synthesis of utility and devotion that sustained a culture physically, socially, and spiritually. This model of a multifunctional public space built around the rhythm of water stands as a testament to a holistic world we are only beginning to appreciate. Our next discovery reveals a network of a different scale entirely, one that did not just serve a community but connected an entire empire. A stone highway stitches across the peaks of the Andes, but its true strength flowed with the water it was built to command. While the sheer scale of the Inca road system is rightly celebrated, modern analysis often fixated on its role in moving armies and messages, overlooking the intricate hydraulic network that made such movement possible. This was not a road placed upon the landscape, but one woven into its very hydrology. Engineers carved stone-lined canals that ran parallel to the roadway, meticulously diverting seasonal runoff and preventing erosion from washing the path away. They constructed drainage culverts beneath the surface, allowing streams to pass under the road without damaging its foundation. At strategic way stations known as tambos, they ensured a reliable water supply was always available, channeling springs into fountains and small reservoirs for travelers and their animals. This transformed a simple path into a life-sustaining corridor. The initial archaeological focus on the road's routing and its impressive stonework completely obscured these vital hydrological features. The road's durability was not an accident of good construction, but a direct result of a design that respected and managed the natural water cycle. It was a system that understood a simple truth, that to conquer distance, you must first make peace with the rain and the river. This integration of transport and water management stands as a timeless principle, demonstrating how infrastructure can be designed for resilience by working in harmony with the environment, not against it. Such foresight in urban and transit planning finds a fascinating parallel in the earliest known example of a meticulously planned city. This urban water culture emerged fully formed along the banks of a mighty river. In the meticulously planned streets of Mohenjo-Daro, the true marvel was not the grid itself, but what flowed beneath it. Nearly every single house possessed its own bathing area and a dedicated well, with wastewater channeled through terracotta pipes into a city-wide network of covered, brick-lined drains that ran beneath the main avenues. This was not a feature reserved for the elite, it was a universal civic standard. The Great Bath, with its sophisticated waterproofing of tar and tightly fitted bricks, stands as a powerful symbol of this culture's relationship with water, suggesting a ritual significance intertwined with the practical. For decades, archaeologists catalogued these features as impressive utilities, yet they profoundly underestimated the revolutionary philosophy they represented. This level of uniformity points to a powerful, centralized authority, not of a king, but of a municipal governance obsessed with public health. The entire city was engineered for hygiene on a scale that would not be seen again for millennia. They possessed a hydrological knowledge that allowed them to manage both the provision of clean water and the systematic removal of waste, preventing the outbreaks of illness that plagued other ancient cities. The profound mystery of the Indus Valley is not just how they built this system, but why this seemingly modern urban vision, this unparalleled commitment to civic well-being, ultimately vanished, leaving behind only its silent, sophisticated ruins. From this lost civilization of wells and baths, our search for water wisdom travels to the timeless river that defined a kingdom of gods and kings. The pharaohs did not just build pyramids, they engineered an entire river. Far beyond the familiar banks of the Nile, a sprawling hydraulic network transformed a desert depression into the Fayum Oasis, centered on the vast, man-made Lake Moeris. This was not a simple irrigation project. It was a continent-scale regulator for the entire Nile system, a tool of economic power, and a maritime highway for history's most iconic construction projects. A monumental canal, the Bahr Yusuf, was engineered to branch off from the Nile and channel a controlled portion of the annual flood into the Fayum Basin. This water filled the giant lake, creating a safety valve for years when the Nile's flood was too weak or dangerously high, but the water's work had only just begun. The same canals that filled the lake were also navigable waterways, deep and wide enough to carry enormous barges. These vessels transported the colossal stone blocks quarried in the region directly to the Nile, from where they could be shipped to the pyramid construction sites near Memphis. Imagine the coordination, a system where the same water that ensured a bumper harvest also floated the very materials for the pharaoh's eternal tomb. Early Egyptology, captivated by religious texts and tomb paintings, often interpreted Lake Moeris through a symbolic lens as a sacred lake for a crocodile deity. This perspective completely overlooked the ruthless, practical genius of the network. It was the ultimate expression of state power, a multi-purpose infrastructure project that managed food security, controlled a volatile river, and fueled the greatest building program the world had ever seen. The administrative might required to survey, excavate, and maintain this system for centuries is almost beyond comprehension. This was hydrological thinking on a grand, interlocking scale, a testament to a civilization that saw water not just as a resource, but as the primary instrument of its will. Our penultimate journey into the classical world reveals a network not of empire, but of urban public health, hidden beneath the streets of a city known for its legions. The precision of the Egyptian canal network finds a stunning parallel in the geometric mind of ancient Greece. On the island of Samos, the Tunnel of Eupalinos is a marvel celebrated for its mathematics, a 1-kilometer-long channel carved straight through a mountain. For centuries, scholars have focused on the breathtaking accuracy of its construction, a project dug from two opposing ends that met almost perfectly in the middle. This focus on the tunnel as a standalone surveying triumph, however, has often obscured its true purpose. It was never meant to be an isolated monument. The tunnel was the critical artery of a comprehensive municipal water system. Its primary function was to reliably transport water from a hidden spring on one side of the mountain directly to the city of Pythagorean on the other. But the water's journey did not end there. The tunnel's outflow fed into a network of surface aqueducts and storage cisterns that distributed this vital resource throughout the urban center. This was a complete water supply grid, a true public utility designed for an entire city-state. The famous tunnel was merely the most audacious component of a much larger, integrated design. By focusing solely on the engineering spectacle of the tunnel itself, we risk minimizing the sophisticated hydrological planning of the Samians. They were not just brilliant diggers, they were urban planners who understood that a city's survival depended on a resilient and managed water supply from source to tap. The Tunnel of Eupalinos stands as a powerful symbol of the Greek polis, where civic engineering and communal life were inextricably linked. It reminds us that the greatest feats of ancient engineering were not just about overcoming physical barriers, but about building the foundations for sustainable urban life. This brings us to the final and perhaps most mysterious network in our global journey. Beneath the waves off Japan's coast, a terraced monolith of stone rests in silent contradiction. The Yonaguni Monument, with its stark, angular platforms and what seem to be perfectly straight channels cutting through the rock, presents the ultimate archaeological riddle. If these features are natural, they represent a stunning geological coincidence. If they are not, they point to a prehistoric culture with the capability to shape stone on a monumental scale, potentially for managing water long before the sea claimed the land. The debate hinges on these very forms, sharp 90-degree angles, and what appear to be staircases ascending the structure challenge simple explanations. Carved channels and symmetrical basins look engineered to direct the flow of water, perhaps to collect precious freshwater from rainfall or to serve as reservoirs for a community living on a now submerged plain. For mainstream science, the weight of opinion falls on the side of unique natural erosion. The sandstone is prone to fracturing along straight lines, and the powerful currents in the area could, over millennia, have sculpted the features we see today. This is the safe, evidence-based conclusion, yet the alternative possibility is irresistibly compelling. Could these formations be the remnants of a lost hydraulic network, a system of terraces and pools that managed water for a civilization forgotten by time? This is not a call to ignore scientific consensus, but a reminder that our understanding of the past is a story still being written. The Yonaguni monument, whether a masterpiece of nature or of human hands, symbolizes the profound mysteries that still lie hidden in the deep. It challenges the very timeline of human achievement and whispers that the final chapter on ancient water wisdom may still be waiting to be discovered, not in the deserts or the jungles, but on the vast, silent shelves of the ocean floor. This collective legacy reveals a profound and unsettling truth. We have spent centuries marveling at the pyramids and the temples, at the grand monuments of stone, while quietly dismissing the true masterworks, the systems that gave those monuments life. The real achievement was not the city, but the water that sustained it, not the temple, but the philosophy that guided its flow. These 30 misunderstood networks form a single, global lesson in harmony. Ancient water managers did not see a river as just a source of irrigation, or a spring as just a source of drinking water. They saw a living entity, a force that connected the mountain to the sea, the sky to the soil, and the individual to the community. This was a sacred relationship built on observation and respect that spanned generations. Modern science, for all its power, arrived with a different lens. It broke the world into pieces, studying hydrology separately from sociology and engineering apart from spiritual practice. This compartmentalized view is why we initially saw the Nazca spirals as wells, the Balinese water temples as folklore, and the Hohokam canals as simple ditches. We were looking at the components, but we were blind to the system. We applied our own paradigms of efficiency and control to cultures that prioritized resilience and balance. The ancient engineer was not just a technician, but a philosopher, an ecologist, and a priest all at once. Their success was measured not in quarterly yields, but in centuries of sustained abundance. As our own rivers run dry and our aquifers sink, this ancient wisdom speaks directly to our modern crisis. It suggests that our most advanced desalination plants and smart meters will ultimately fail if they are not woven into the social and cultural fabric of our communities. The solution is not just better technology, but a better relationship with the water itself, one that recognizes its true value beyond the price on a bill. These 30 networks are not relics. They are a blueprint, a chorus of voices from the past offering a path forward, if we are only willing to listen. We have traveled across continents and through millennia, uncovering 30 ancient water management networks that modern science, in its first encounters, profoundly misunderstood. From the gravity-fed Qanats of Persia to the potential hydraulic features of Yonaguni, each system reveals a deep, context-specific knowledge of hydrology, ecology, and community that directly challenges our assumptions of technological progress. The key takeaway is not that ancient people were mystically wise, but that they developed brilliantly sophisticated and sustainable solutions through generations of patient observation and cultural adaptation. These are solutions we are only now beginning to fully appreciate. This exploration stands as a powerful reminder that history is not a simple linear march of improvement. It is a rich tapestry of innovation, woven from countless threads of human ingenuity, from which we can still draw profound inspiration. Which of these misunderstood wonders amazed you the most? Let us know in the comments below. If you enjoyed this deep dive into historical mysteries, please subscribe for more journeys into the forgotten corners of our past. Thank you for watching, and remember, the answers to our future challenges may very well lie in the wisdom of the ancients.